It's time to do this. Time to crush the week. Oh, it's like a little bit of congestion. Tried to deal with it before the show, but wasn't happening. I won't get any more descriptive than that. Oh. And here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday. It's December 21st, 2020. My name is Jeremy. And this is my first cup of coffee. Well, I had a eventful weekend. Friday, I worked. Nothing eventful about Friday other than it was a normal day of work. Saturday, I got up, not early, just when I felt like it, and I made some breakfast, and I bought a different car, a used car. I no longer have the disastrous Mazda. And as I was driving to the Toyota dealership, which was, I drove a little bit further away. Northern Vermont Toyota dealers are grossly overpriced. So drove a little bit away, took some time. And as I was driving, I was thinking, I just had the car in, it was a week ago, I dropped it off. And they did some more stuff for it. Maybe it's fine now. Maybe after all this suffering, now is the time I should hold on to the car. Nope. And then, like, within minutes, I got another message pop up on the dash. So I laughed so hard at that. Because how often in life do we get such clear direction? Well, I got clear direction. I have an electric blue Toyota RAV4. It's 2018. The older, more miles RAV4 was worth more than the Mazda, which cost far more when I bought it. In fact, my car depreciated close to 50% in 18 months. Yep. I was not happy when I found those numbers. So it's done. It's over. I'm thankful. Seems like it's going to be a great car. I'm excited. I miss being in a Toyota. Once I bought it and they washed it, it's covered in pine pitch. So come spring, I've got some of that to do. And it was definitely a family car. There's like batteries and stuff under it. They did a quick clean on the inside, but yeah, I'll have to clean it. Oh well, no big deal. And then yesterday woke up and was gonna do like an hour of work, which turned into hours because the majority of the websites that I take care of were infected. To be fair, a lot of them had been infected for a while. I just didn't know it. But now I'm dealing with that. So, knock on wood, I took care of them all and put stuff in place so they can't get infected again. We'll see. But that was frustrating. I think my days of using WordPress for primary sites for things that are important, like really important, is gone. Good morning, Emmett. There are too many variables. There's too many things that can go wrong. Coffee is delicious this morning. Thank you. So that was the weekend, and what's going on today? Today is an insane number of meetings. I've got the last half, the back half of the book to finish. The back half of the chapter. Frank says, you must be so glad to get rid of that Mazda. I am, and good morning, Stacy. Very thankful that car is gone. Oh, Friday I talked to Frank. Frank and I had a good chat on the phone. A good way to kind of wind down the week. An excellent conversationalist, that man is. So I've got the last half, the second half of the last chapter of the book. As soon as that is done, then I get to start editing. Stacy's making, I think you made that joke on Facebook too, Mazda Tov. Is that a Mazel Tov? That's a good one. I like that. Then after that, it's just a string of meetings all day. It's all I'm doing today. I think between 9:30 and 4, I think I have like 90 minutes that is not scheduled for a meeting. It's insane. I never have this many meetings. But as I have more clients and these clients grow, they need more meetings. Stacy says she's been hanging around Frank. Hence the jokes. Yeah. Yeah, it's all meetings. So let's talk about this week. This is Christmas week. I've got a tree right there. It's far too large for the 6 ornaments I have, but it's what we have. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be normal days. Thursday, I have a single meeting at 9 a.m. I will be doing First Cup on Thursday. Friday is Christmas Day. I'm not doing First Cup on Friday because I don't expect any of you to be here. And I'm going to sleep. Now, all my family stuff is not happening on Christmas Day. I think we're doing it on Saturday. Can't be sure. But Friday, so there's a Tony Robbins program that I did like the first third of and haven't touched in 6 months. So that's what I'm doing Christmas Day. I will be doing that. I'll be digging through more of that because that was really helpful. So we're going to keep working on it. In the world of martial arts, so I believe it was yesterday, there are not too many people, let me say it differently. The world of martial arts is small. And if you've been in it for a while, there are people that you just know. And in certain areas, like Maine or Vermont, New Hampshire, there are people who've been around from the beginning of things. One of the martial arts pioneers in Maine was a man named Jeff Wood, and he passed away yesterday. For a very long time, Jeff Wood had the largest competition in Maine. I'm told that through the early 80s, it was a 2-day competition, and that people would come from forever around. This is back when there were really 2 to 3 competitions in Maine through the year. I remember going to that. If you look down, the bottom 2 shelves, those are awards from his competition. I won't pretend I knew him well, but he had not been on martial arts radio. I will not get that story. I will not get his story. And so I'm sad. Maybe there's a little bit of selfishness in being sad here because I didn't get to talk to him in that way. I didn't get to put him on the air. But I think my instinct is to take a step back from that. And why is that important to me? It's important to me because those stories will live forever. We're at this point where the people who made martial arts something in the United States are dying off. Not necessarily the very first people. Most of the very first people have already passed away. People who were teaching in the 50s and 60s, most of them have passed away. And we've spoken to several of them, and some of them have passed. But this is somebody I knew. This is somebody I trained with. This is somebody who was beloved by my instructors. I have memories of this person. Not all of them good. You know, we're all flawed. But every prominent martial artist, every martial artist who made an impact, and he made an impact, who passes away, whose stories are not chronicled, bums me out. So, so okay, Jeff Wood, rest in peace. There's a rough moment for the morning. However, it says George Sylvain passed away 2 weeks ago as well, a legend that promoted martial arts throughout Canada. I've heard that name. I can't say I know anything about him, but I have heard that name. People pass. People are going to continue to pass. What can we do? Tell their stories. Learn from them. I think the martial arts is the only realm in the United States where we actually listen to what older people say. That wisdom, we actually care about it for martial artists. We don't tend to care about it as a society, which is too bad. Cat's over on the heater grunting away. There should be a Monday episode out. Let's see. Is it out yet? Oh, remember when I said the martial arts radio website was fixed? It's not. It's broken again. Because it's infected again, and we are moving it to a new space. We're moving it from WordPress to Squarespace. That will be done, I don't know when. We're working on it. It's going to take a while. Oh, okay. Today's episode is with Senpai, and I think that he takes that title only humbly, because he's trained long enough. But Senpai Yves Gakunde, a man who came out of Africa, escaping less than ideal conditions, lives in the Northeast. Great story. So check that out. And Emmett says, I second that. Here in Europe, we have respect for those that paved the way. Yeah. We have it in martial arts. We don't tend to value the older generations in any other way. Which is a shame. Because they've lived. They've seen stuff. You know how as we get older, individually, we get better at figuring things out? Everybody does. And so if we as young people look to old people and say, hey, help me out, and actually listen to them, we can avoid some of those mistakes. But no, most of us are really, really bad at not making mistakes again. We want to make them for ourselves. Today, I've got 4 quotes here about winter that Frank wrote in, because it is the solstice. This is the longest day of the winter. It will start to get lighter, which is great because it's dark. The cat's over there making these little crunchy noises. And then I got something from Gabe that I'll read after. Winter forms our character and brings out our best. Tom Allen. Well, here in the Northeast, those of you who don't live in the snow, winter is an interesting time. It gets really cold. Friday, I think it was Saturday when I woke up, it was 10 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. It was very cold. And that's not even the coldest it's going to get. I've been over to that thermometer, and there have been days that with wind chill, it is 40 to 50 below. It's not common, but it happens. 20 below, we get that every winter. We will get days of 20 below. What do you do when it's that cold? Not much. You crank up the heat and you watch TV. When it's 20 below, I don't even like going into the I don't like going to the warehouse. I don't even like going to the attached garage, which will be, when it's 20 below, it would be 28 to 30 in there. It gets cold. So when this quote says it brings out your character, how you handle adversity, and winter really is months of adversity. It says a lot about you. What do people do here when it's really cold? Some people stay inside. Some people go skiing or snowboarding. Some people just complain. As long as it's not too cold, I tend to go hiking. I like being out in the woods. I like being out in winter. Bundle up, put on lots of clothes. I don't like doing it in single digits, but, once it gets, as long as it's in the 20s, I'll go out. I'll hike. And by 20s, I mean 20s at the base. The moment you get up to that exposed peak, it's very cold. You need lots of layers. So, yeah, winter exposes our character and brings out our best. Winter is a season of recovery and preparation, Paul Theroux. Anybody who's a gardener understands that very, very well. What do we do with our gardens? We harvest in the fall. We harvest, and sometimes we plant new things to get ready. Sometimes we cover our beds. I, for the first time this year, covered all my beds with leaves, which I know sounds really silly, but those leaves will break down. Provides more nutrient. In the spring, it allows things to get warmer sooner. But what helps it break down? The pressure and the melting snow. Emmett says, if we reach 20 here in Ireland, the national news would be reporting a heat wave. Well, that's because we're using a different thermometer, my friend. For let's see, 21.30, 36, 68. That would be 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I have an easier time going for Celsius to Fahrenheit. A lot of people spend winter not quite hibernating, but sitting and maybe eating too much, watching TV, kind of plopped. Other people will take that time to work on the inside of their house or do the things that, you can only do inside that seems wasteful to do outside in the summer because summer's so short. I'm working on, there are a bunch of little things that I'm working on around here. Thursday I plan to buy some more power tools, yay! Because I've got a project that I want to do here. I'm gonna put some built-in shelves on this unnecessary wall, which will completely transform the way this house works. Inside projects. Because what am I doing over the summer? Working on the outside of the house. Because a New England house is never finished. Winter is not a season, it's a celebration. Anamika Mishra. Winter is not a season, it's a celebration. Disagree. It would be far too long of a celebration. 7 months. Yeah, I know the calendar says it's 3. It's 7. October through April. Mid-October through mid-May. Yeah. 6 to 7 months, depending on how you look at it. Even if it was 3 months. 3 months is too long of a celebration. Now, the solstice today, that warrants celebration. That's kind of a neat thing. And it's no surprise that it's been celebrated for a long time. I'm not doing anything to celebrate. Not because I'm opposed to it, but it's the solstice. Yay, it's going to get lighter out. I mean, that's cool, but I'm not exactly having a party. Even if it wasn't 2020, I wouldn't be having a party. This is, you know what I just realized? New Year's is already usually pretty lame. Not nearly as fun as it should be. I mean, I did some fun stuff last year, but nobody's doing anything this year. What are we going to do? We're going to do what we've done for weeks, if not months. Winter is the time for comfort, for good food and warmth, for the touch of a friendly hand, and for a talk beside the fire. It is the time for home. Edith Sitwell. There is something about a fire. There is something very primal, very instinctive about a fire and having fire inside. It's really, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I suspect most of you have experienced it at some point. There's a reason that people get transfixed with fire. It just there's something about it. Fire and the use of fire was probably the technological advancement that moved us forward. If we go back to a single thing, it's probably fire. You could say tools, yeah, but other animals use tools. No other animal mastered the use of fire. No other animal used fire to defend themselves. It's powerful. And I think that's why in martial arts movies, fantasy martial arts movies and video games, the notion of expressing chi as like a weapon, right, is often represented as fire. Frank says last night he had the Christmas tree and the fireplace from YouTube on. Yeah, totally. There's just, it's the crackle, right? Like that's the difference. You hear the crackling of the wood. You hear that. And that's the thing that fake fireplaces, right? The little electric heaters that have, a flame effect to them. That's the thing they miss. And there's somebody out there who has probably made one that has a little bit of a soundtrack to it. Sounds a little crackly. But it's pretty great. Fire. I had a fire the last couple, not last night, but the 2 nights before, because it was really cold. And it doesn't even have to be as warm. The air in here can be 65 with a fire, or 70 with the oil furnace, and I'll take the 65. It feels warmer. There's just something about it. It just feels better. Speaking of throwing fireballs, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago I bought a PlayStation 4, and just once in a while I've been going back to it, playing very old games. And not that this is super old, but Mortal Kombat 10. Played a bit of that. Frank asked, what do you burn, pellets or logs? I burn logs. Because, and here's the very simple reason. Does it require more work? Yes. Does it require more maintenance? I don't know, probably not. But it doesn't require electricity. And I can go out there with my chainsaw and I can cut some trees. It's really easy to get wood. Pellets, not nearly as easy. And if when construction takes a downturn, you know what happens to pellets? Price goes up. We saw it in 2008. Pellets got really expensive because what do they make pellets out of? Sawdust. It's compressed sawdust. And if sawdust isn't going all over the place from construction-y things, they have to create the sawdust, which makes the pellets way more expensive. I've got stacks of wood out there, and some of it is stuff that I cut. Because when a tree goes, I cut it and leave it for a year, and then it becomes stuff I burn. Some of it's apple wood. And then this one from Gabe, this is a complete departure from what we've been talking about, but still a good question. Why is it that sometimes the person who is most qualified for a position of significant leadership doesn't want it? I'm thinking of the scene in Gladiator where Marcus Aurelius asks Maximus to be the next emperor, and he responds, with all my heart, no. What does effective leadership require? Well, what is being effective at any job require? First and foremost, a belief that you can do it, right? A confidence in yourself. What does being an effective leader require then? A belief that you can be an effective leader. There is a very small distance between being an effective leader while remaining humble and tremendous ego. And it does not take much time looking around to see from which side of that divide most leaders operate. For most of them, it's ego. There's a lot of ego. So if you look at, yes, responsibility, yeah, you have tremendous responsibility, but you also have the authority to handle that responsibility. It's pressure. There's a lot of pressure on shoulders, and there's an expectation of what a leader will be. I won't follow up, but think about political leaders that you know of. Emmett, I'm going to ask you to drop that one in the comment section after we close, because that is too long of a question. That's not what I'm going to throw in the next couple minutes here. But it's a great question. I've read things about the top professions that are filled with sociopaths. Politician is one of them. Leadership is hard. It is really hard. It requires an understanding of yourself and others in a way that most of us do not have in order to be effective. I, through my 20s, was a terrible leader. Freely admit that. I got better. I think I continue to get better, but I am still, I would at best define myself as okay at it. I would not call myself a good leader. I'm an okay leader. I've known great leaders. I'm not one of them. I don't know that I have the personality to be a great leader, and I certainly don't aspire to be a great leader. So does that really answer Gabe's question? Why is it that sometimes the person who is most qualified for a position of significant leadership doesn't want it? Here's the best visual I can give you. Politics aside, forget about politics, please. Because this visual is very strong for me. Compare a side-by-side of President Obama when he took office versus when he came out 8 years later. His hair went completely gray. He looks haggard. He carried the weight of the country on his shoulders. And that is, again, I am mixed on him, okay? I'm not gonna say that he, right? I'm mixed. Leadership, whether it's effective or not, carries a lot of pressure. And it requires giving a lot of yourself, giving up a lot of yourself. If you've ever run a club or an organization, a martial arts school, you know that in order to be effective, you are making personal sacrifices. The more significant the position, the greater the personal sacrifice. And this is why I think for so many, the temptation comes in to take advantage of the position, to better yourself. Because you see it, I think for so many, they see it as a trade. I've given so much to this community or constituency. I am owed this. People have asked me, would you ever run for politics? No, I won't. Because I don't want to inject myself into that possibility. I hope that answers your question, Gabe. It's a good question. So, all right. Go check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio. Go ahead and leave some questions, some comments in the comment section. Once the show closes, I'll answer them tomorrow because, yes, we do this show 5 days a week, every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube. You can catch it later in audio form. I thank you for coming by. If you're watching, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Help spread the show. If you're brand new, hit subscribe, turn on notifications for this and all the other good stuff that we put out through the week. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.